What's up, everyone? My name's Aya. I'm a feminine mystic, and today we're going to be talking about what is like what worthiness is. And I want to talk about this because, and also this is alchemy essential, which I would usually like post to my Patreon. And to the YouTube membership. So if you want to join, you can. It's always there and available to you. It's called the Fairy Club, and it's an online ashram, online spiritual practice center for fairy alchemists. The philosophy there is do nothing and receive everything. Which is the basis of your worthiness. And I think all of us know that essentially. This is why this is an alchemy essential. Everyone knows that they are worth diamonds, gold, the world. You're worthy to have whatever you want. So what's the gap? Why is everyone's feelings hurt? I think when we don't get what we want, when we feel like we're blocked from receiving what it is that we most desire to experience, our feelings are hurt. It hurts your feelings, right? Like, if you can imagine yourself being a little child again, and the first time you get denied access into something that's really important to you, and it's just kind of like, why? It's pretty unbelievable. Doesn't really compute, and you can't really understand. It just seems to be like no reason, which is why a little child would just keep asking and asking and asking and being persistent, because it's like, I know that there's a way for me to have something that makes me happy. Like, why? Right? And the truth is that there really isn't any reason. As an adult, even as a child, when I was a little girl, when you're in alignment with yourself, even as a child, if your parents tell you no to something, somebody else will give it to you, right? So you'll find somebody else that will give it to you, right? And that would usually make your parents mad, like your mother mad. It's like, why'd you give her that? I told her no. The universe doesn't tell you no. There's something inside of you that's telling you no. And part of alchemy is figuring out where that is and who that is, what that voice is inside of you. Because if you're worthy of receiving everything that you want, what is worthiness in the first place? Well, worth is the power that you have within you, that eternal peace and power we're always talking about. And everyone's always wondering, like, well, then if I'm so powerful, then how come this isn't happening? I don't have that. I don't have this. I don't have this. And your worth, your worth to yourself is not the same energy that God is holding for you. That's why you don't have what you want. You are putting your worth on a scale, like on you're comparing yourself to things on the outside of you. You're comparing yourself to bodies. This human shell is not eternal. You can't compare yourself to something that's not eternal. So you're not going to be able to get what you want by focusing from there. Am I explaining this correctly? Probably not. Let's take it a step further. This is fun. Okay. So This is why being in solitude is so important. You can really only figure out, pull from your own being, from your own power, from who you are and what you are, which is God, right? God consciousness. You are light. You are power. You are essence. Let's get into what you actually are, and let's get into feeling what you actually are. Because without feeling it, the intellectual knowledge of it doesn't matter, which is why people have a hard time manifesting what they want. We are sensational beings with passion and feelings. It's your passion and your emotional body that fuels your desire, that gets you moving. And it's the scarcity dimension, the fear dimensions that keep you stagnant, that keep you safe, and keep you away from feeling your feelings. Okay? So I have this visual guided meditation in the Patreon, and I'm just going to tell you the story. We're not going to do the meditation, but the story goes like this. You're walking through the forest, and you meet up with this light being, and it feels warm. It feels inviting. It feels friendly. It feels playful. It feels present. It feels alive. It feels childlike. It feels safe. It feels innocent. And it asks you, are you afraid of me? Am I threatening to you? And you say no. Actually, I feel warmth. I feel love. I feel at peace. I feel playful. I feel present. I feel liked. I feel welcomed. And the light being says, I am you. Most light beings have been walking in a world where people feel threatened by you, by your light. And so it's really hard for you to feel the warmth, the light, and the love that you actually are. So when you're thinking about who you are and what you want, most of the time you are perceiving yourself and what you want from another person's perspective, feelings about you and point of view, which is most of the time kind of harsh. You know, people come at you real aggressive energetically to you if you're a highly sensitive person. Like, you can feel it when someone's jealous of you. You can feel it when someone doesn't want the best for you. Like, and then imagine you being in those types of environments, in and out of those environments most of your life, because most of us have had to live and be around beings who are in scarcity mindset. Probably, like, I would say 90% of the time they're in survival mode. And if you are a light being around people who are in survival mode, scarcity mindset, the kingdom of hell, the ego, whatever it is you want to call it, then they're in competition with you, because in their mind, in their split self, because they're beings of light too, but in their split mind, there's only one, there's only a so much of the light to go around. They can't really wrap their mind around that there's an eternal light, and it has enough. It's so eternal and so abundant that it has enough for you to shine, for everybody to shine, you know. And it's so powerful that it's working on manifesting all of our desires, all of our dreams as a collective, right? It's working on bringing heaven on earth for all of us. But it depends on our point of focus. If you're focused on your light like that, like, I am a pleasant, soft, generous, loving, kind being, and I bring light, and that light brings love and joy and playfulness and peace and happiness, you know, you will allow your manifestations in. So your self-worth is inherent. It's your birthright. You don't have to earn it. And that's where people get confused. And it's really hard if you're in scarcity mindset to wrap your mind around that. It's kind of like, what? What? It's like, no, actually, if you look at a baby, that's still your essence. If you look at a toddler, you know how we're like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. That's still you. That's still you. That's your essence. But a lot of us turn off our light a lot of times to protect ourselves, from being hated on, made fun of, because if you walk around being present, people will call you retarded. Like anytime I see someone who is what we would maybe say chronically or severely neurodivergent or something, and they're just present in their own world, I'm like, oh wow, how lucky. Because that's really all that's happening with them. They're so focused on on reality, on the oneness energy, nobody can pull them away from it. And if you try to pull them out of it, they're going to scream. And the interesting thing about that is that when I do trauma healing sessions with my clients, that's usually what's stuck inside of everyone's body. This rage and this scream. Because we'll go within and we'll find where the stuck energy is. And I'll ask if that stuck energy could speak, what would it say? Now, this is after you're under a heavy trance and we've moved your ego out of the way so that we can talk to these parts. Okay, so these parts can feel safe and seen and heard enough to speak. All right. And then when we get into this space, this sacred space, this quiet space, people say, when I ask that question, if this part of you could speak, what would it say? They'd be like, I don't have no words, but it wants to scream. And I'd be like, good, get a pillow. Let's scream. We're screaming. Let's make the noise. Let's make the sounds that you need to make, because that's what the universe responds to. That's what energy responds to. The universe responds to sounds more than it responds to words. Because a lot of times I always say the words get in the way. Like these types of conversations, me telling you like about my shamanic healing sessions with people doesn't even touch the surface of what the experience is actually like. It's kind of interesting trying to market something that can really only be explained with primitive sounds and like silent cave premonitions and goddess screams. And it's like, I try my best, and I just let the divine do the rest and fill in the gaps. But yeah, God consciousness, your worthiness, your presence, your eternal beingness is an experience. It can't be explained with words. And how I train people either through one-on-one sessions or in the Patreon is for you have to get into that space. You have to practice being in that space. So we're doing what I would call fairy rest training. Well, I do actually call it that. It's called fairy rest training for 15 days, right? And it sounds simple, but it's actually revolutionarily powerful to practice resting. You have to practice being at rest. You have to practice surrendering to God consciousness. You have to practice surrendering to the feminine Christ within you. You have to practice trusting life again. You have to practice joy. You have to practice peace. You have to practice being in your worth. Rest is your worth. And I'll tell you how I know that. Because when I surrendered, I was in Morocco. When I finally got a chance to really, truly rest, this was in January. Y'all know that people that have been following me, everything that I've been going through, With the car wreck, my neck being broken and all this, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to basically come back from the dead after I died. Okay. I lost everything I had as far as physical possessions and my ability to make money and like do the things that I'm used to doing that draws people to me. I really had to like go into that quiet place and just breathe and listen and feel and allow. And you know, what I learned was that God is the only power that exists, and that worthiness is in the quiet, it's in the silence, it's in the open gate that you allow God into when you just be still and know that I am God. You know that God is God and you are created by God, and God gave you all of its power without holding back. God didn't hold back its power from you. It's us that holds back by not focusing on that power. That power is what sustains you. That power is what gives you your very powerful breath that you take for granted. What's so interesting about practicing spirituality is that I know that people want a deeper explanation, something complicated, something that's so hard to do and to keep up and to be consistent with, that the ego can justify giving up. Whenever, see, it's too hard. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I barely have any energy. I got people pulling me from the right to the left. God, you see, I can't do all of these yoga poses. I can't finish this class. It's 12 weeks. Aya said we got, in order to ascend, in order to become an ascended master, we have to, follow all these rules. But God just said, breathe and be still and rest. Ooh. Rest. Like when I wasn't, okay, I'll tell you how simple and how hard. When I was in Morocco and everything was quiet for once, I didn't have any more complaints in my mind about money, I couldn't, like, everything is so much cheaper in Morocco. The worries that I had while I was in America, I no longer could use them as an excuse as to why I couldn't practice being at peace and at rest. And but I could always find something though. It could be my suitcase is laying on the ground and God would say, leave it. I need to order food. You're not hungry yet. Don't worry about it until it's time. I need to make money. You have enough money. You're fine. Go lay down. And I was like, go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay. And I lay down, and I can feel my nervous system fighting. I was tired, but I didn't want to lay down. But I obeyed. I lay down for maybe like a week before I got it. It clicked. I was like, oh. When I finally got up, because I didn't really do anything. I didn't do much. I left everything all my suitcase, my bags, whatever, laid out, because I usually take my stuff out, hang it up, make sure everything's clean. I left it. When I got up from inspiration, not from needing or having, forcing, scarcity mindset. I felt rested, and then my nervous system thanked me. My inner being was like, I feel loved. Finally. Thank you so much. My body had never said that to me before. It was the rest that made me feel golden. It was the the allowing myself to just kind of like do nothing. And it was like an inner struggle to surrender to that. But once it was kind of like wrangling down a wild beast or something like inside of me, like my ego. My mind was still moving around, and my nervous system was like used to stress and me doing things about something, like things that I'm worried about. I did nothing about anything. That was different. That was different. But it was like the best lesson ever. During that time, I did like a deep dive into that scripture, putting on the full armor of God for some reason. I didn't understand why I was looking at that until I got to the part about so that when the day of evil comes, you'll be able to stand and still and stand, right? And I looked up the word evil in the concordance in the Greek, and one of the definitions of evil is to toil, to work. And that blew my mind. That blew my mind because that whole scripture, the rest of the scripture is putting on the full armor of God is talking about being at peace. It's talking about your nervous system being at peace, being at rest, literally resting. Peace is rest. Peace is completion. Peace is wholeness, and peace is worthiness, is your worthiness. That's the worth that God inherently put into you. Right? And when you're away from that, when you stray away from being at peace, you're straying away from your inherent prosperity. You're straying away from your joy. You're straying away from your health. You're straying away from a sense of well-being. And you're putting it in your hands, or in the hands of a doctor, or in the hands of your mother, in the hands of your boyfriend, your husband, or your girlfriend, or your wife, or, the people you work for. You're putting your security, because peace and security and joy all go together. But so does playfulness, because that's a trust. When you have a playful, buoyant, trusting energy, you are at rest, and you're not focused on trying to toil and work and do, because that's God's job. That's what your imagination that's what I call it now, the imagination factory. That is what your imagination factory is there for. You ask with your energy. Whenever when you see you don't have something, it can be some toothpaste. You'd be like, oh, I'm out of toothpaste. You just ask to receive. Now, if you're out of toothpaste, do you worry about it? Do you stress out about it? Or do you put it on the list and let it go? And it gets bought, it gets done. Somehow it gets in your bathroom. And people take those little small manifestations for granted. But I'm going to ask you to look at all the little things that you take for granted, that you manifest all the time without you having to work hard or think about it. That would be your breath, you breathing. That's a huge one. Because that's what you are. You are the breath of life. Okay? And manifestations should feel as natural as breathing. That's the state of being you should be in if you actually are in a state of receiving what you want to receive. So whenever you think about something you want to receive, say you want to manifest $1 million, if your body stresses out around it, tenses up around it, you start gripping, and then you start being like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Your mind starts racing, then you're not at rest about it. So you're probably not open. Your meridians aren't open enough to receive it. But say you want to go to McDonald's, that's an easy manifestation. See, all manifestations are the same to God. God doesn't put things on the list of a hierarchy of too hard or easy. God is like, everything is the same. It's all the same to me, beloved. You know, it's the ego that puts levels on things and judgments on things. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? This should be something that makes you happy, actually. If you understand what I'm saying, this is actually a good thing. That your dreams, the biggest wishes you have in your life, are really at your fingertips. All you have to do is rest. And if you don't know how, all you have to do is practice resting. And get into it. Like lock in. Yeah. All you have to do is just be done with not being at peace. You don't have to try to change anything. You don't have to heal anything. The healing will come naturally. Say you want to get up and go to McDonald's, right? And you're determined to go to McDonald's. Whatever is blocking you from doing that, you'll just put it to the side. It just won't be a thing right now, right? You don't hold yourself back. Be like, oh my God, I need something to eat. And this just might kill me. I want to go to McDonald's. You see what I'm saying? It sounds silly. It sounds silly to be stressed out about those things. Like tying your shoes. We're like, oh my gosh, I need to tie my shoes. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And money and a house, a car, and all these things that the world puts so much value on is nothing to God. Trust me. All you have to do is put yourself in the receiving mode, which is like breathing. Connect breathing. How easy it is for you to breathe till you getting $1 million, and you shall receive. The obstacle that people have, though, is the time it takes in between. Like, what do you do? Why am I pointing at my wrist like I have a watch? What do you do while you're waiting? You stay at rest. You don't think about it. You let it go. You go travel. You go enjoy yourself. You forget about it. You put it to the side. You enjoy your life. In the meantime, easier said than done, I know. And that's why I have the Patreon set up so that you can practice being at rest. The Fairy Club is an online meditation temple ashram where you can practice do nothing and receive everything. Practice being worthy. You have to practice your worth. And you can also sign up for personal sessions with me, either here in the YouTube shop or on my website. Just look in the description box down below. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Love you. Peace.